Hey everybody, Andy Brown here. I wanted to take a second and talk about men and sexuality. Now, this is something that we see a lot about in culture, but nobody really talks about a ton. And let me just set up the scene for you real quick. Whenever I talk to tons of guys, and even their wives too, who say like, "Man, I feel like I want sex all the time," and it's kind of a stereotype in our culture that men, well, I'm a man, I have needs. The observation that I've made is that women also have needs. So why is it that we have this stereotype of guys being the sexual ones in our society, right? Well, here's what I've observed, and I think there's a lot of good corroboration out there for this as well. As men, we are told in our society that we are only allowed to have one need, and that's sex. Okay, we're not allowed to express our emotions, we're not allowed to feel our emotions. We're told that emotions are feminine, right? Anything we learn about emotions is from our moms, typically, not always, but typically. And so even when we try to express emotions, we end up expressing them from a feminine perspective, right? Because we don't have good examples of men expressing emotions, connecting with other men or even with women emotionally, and all this stuff, okay? And that's not even counting the needs that we have as men for connection and intimacy and purpose and respect and all these things, right? That we're not allowed to express. We're not allowed to have these needs. What are we allowed to have? Libido, right? And so what happens is men get hooked on, and they're not the only ones, but because I'm a man, I'm talking to men here. Men get hooked on porn, right? I think a lot of times when men cheat, they do it because they have emotional needs that are unrecognized and unexpressed, or they're not allowed to feel. And so because they're not allowed to feel them, they build up, and as men, we perceive them as a sex drive. And sometimes, sex drive is a thing, right? We do have a sex drive, but the reality is we were created to be connected to other human beings, just like our female counterparts, just like other people in the world who, need connection. Men need connection, right? So this is my comment. The more we can recognize and legitimize the masculine needs that we have, right? And the less we idolize sex and think that it's going to meet all of our emotional needs, the healthier we're going to be. There's a place for sex in our lives, right? There's a place for that. But it's a different place, I think, than a lot of times we're told. And there are a lot of needs that we can meet and should meet in other ways as men that we have to work toward meeting, so that we can be healthy and we can recognize that we're emotional beings too, with the need for healthy connections, healthy relationships, and healthy expressions of our feelings and emotions and our drives in society in general. So that's just a quick snapshot of something that I'm pretty passionate about. And if you have questions or comments, feel free to post them or shoot me a message. I'm always happy to talk about it. Obviously, it's something I'm pretty passionate about. So hope you have a great week.